have business casual is feed business casual. As soon as I leave here, I'm getting back in my delivery truck. So, but I wanted to thank Amy and everybody else for being here, the judges, and basically just wanted to be able to share our story. You know, the opportunity to have a gift given to the business is rare, of course, and not necessarily expected. I think more than anything for us, we just want to be able to let people know what we're doing in the community, because we've had our nose to the grindstone for the past 3.5 years, and there aren't that many people that know who we are outside of a select group of chefs and market buyers and a lot of farmers in the area. So the gist of it is we are the continuation of a business that's been around since 1979, working with small family-owned farms in our county. Farmers that are either certified organic or do not have a certification but are growing beyond organic. And that's very important in our community, because we have an extremely micro scale of farming here compared to other areas, and not every farm, whether it's financial, workload, or political reasons, not every farm is certified organic, but we have a lot of farms that are using well beyond those methods. But basically, the business was established back in '79 to give local chefs in the Bay Area, back in those days, we're talking like Alice Waters and Bob Klein at Oliveto. There was only a small handful that were dealing with small, or wanting to work with small farms. And so a woman named Dinah Chun started the business in 1979 and literally was aggregating produce on a Thursday afternoon, putting it under an oak tree, and then delivering it that night to chefs in San Francisco. Looking at different studies, you see between 5 and 10% of our food in the county that's consumed here is grown here. And so we are at the tip of the iceberg. I mean, we're at the nascence of our food movement, which is amazing because we live in one of the most biodiverse and rich environments on the entire planet. There's a lot of best growing regions on the planet, but Sonoma County is one of them for sure.
We make a line of beautifully made, impeccably sourced poultry products. They are sustainably raised birds, humanely raised, and we're presenting our artisanal approach to convenient foods, all by moms for moms. Our story starts over 25 years ago. My partner Jen is a chef. She chefed at Chez Panisse for 10 years and now is a private chef in the city. We have a child ourselves and we live in a farm here in Sonoma County. And we're so busy ourselves, and we were out searching for our beautiful product that we could feel good about feeding to our family, and we decided to provide the solution ourselves. So we provide both an organic, USDA organic non-GMO line, as well as an antibiotic-free hormone line. We're very proud of our partnership with who we source our chicken from. That's from Mary's Pittman Family Farms. They're out of Sanger, California. They're the most humane and sustainable chicken farmers in the entire country. In fact, they even have PETA approval, which, if you think about it, is remarkable for a company that kills chickens for a business. We say our chickens only have one bad day. And what's important about that opportunity in particular is that when Whole Foods loans money to a producer, they have skin in the game, and so they're very invested in building that brand. And since we've received that loan, we've had an incredible amount of increase in sales within Whole Foods.
We're trying to solve 3 problems. First, the obesity epidemic. I'll talk about that in a minute. Secondly, lack of access, lack of choice, and cost of entry in this category is very, very high. So first, obesity. Everybody's heard about this crisis. Along with global warming, it's one of the biggest issues of the day. It is getting worse by the day. The statistics are alarming. Our country leads the pack in terms of the percentage of people who are either overweight or obese, and it's a particular problem for children as well. Part of this problem is driven by the lack of access to food that's healthy, low-fat, non-processed food. Lack of real choice. There's plenty of McDonald's, Taco Bell's, lots of very unhealthy fast food drive-thrus, but there's really nowhere to go and get food that's good and healthy when you're in your car. It just doesn't exist. This is a real problem in food deserts, in urban areas, but it's also a problem in the suburbs. It's a problem for people like me who are very busy and have children and need to eat on the go, and there's just nowhere to get food. The cost of entry in a fast food drive-through in particular is particularly high if you're building it in the traditional way, which is using bricks and sticks with a large footprint. We're trying to combat that with our design. But the cost to enter in this category is extremely high. Even in the fast casual space, which Life Kitchen, some of you might be familiar with them, has entered and invested quite a bit of money. If you're going to franchise a Life Kitchen, you need a very high net worth, and you have to outlay quite a bit of money and quite a bit of time to build one of those outlets, and that doesn't even have a drive-through. These are some renderings of how we're going to design and build our stores. We're using recycled shipping containers, I should say upcycled. This is a kind of a new and recent design trend. I was partners in a design and build firm that does this kind of construction, and it's a very fast, simple way to build a drive-through. Starbucks is starting to build some of their drive-throughs using recycled shipping containers. It looks very cool, but you can build them in a factory while you're preparing the land and the site. So it's a very different process. It's a parallel construction process, which saves you a significant amount of time. It also allows you to scale. You can build hundreds of these things in a factory. My strategic partner is setting up such a factory now for some of his other orders.
To take a drug to market, the drugs are first tried on humans to understand the effect of the drug through 4 phases: clinical trial phase 1, 2, 3, 4. Finally, it hits the market. So we have developed a platform to support the whole process. So here are some of the pain points. At the very first is the enrollment of the subject, authenticity of the patients, and we have done some biometric integrations, and I'll talk about it later. Then data is collected on paper. Still, 21st century data is still collected mostly on paper, and that triggers all these other things, which is transcription of the data from paper to web, and then because the data transfer from source A to source B, the verification or the SDV. To enable these sites to come up to their standard to collect the data is a very costly affair. We are talking with one of the local companies here, focused in orphan drugs, where each site may have just a few patients, and they have to go all over the place to find patients that are catering to the drug that they're developing. So the cost of getting these study sites enabled to their standards is a lot. So if you can do it with a tablet and offline without the infrastructure of the sites, it makes it a lot easier.
MemoryBook solves 4 problems parents experience when it comes to documenting their family's memories. The first thing is no time. Second is missing moments. 3 is publicly sharing our moments. And 4 is not being able to even find our moments in the first place. And parents these days are just completely overwhelmed with what to do with the vast number of memories that we collect, and a lot of times they end up doing nothing. So years down the road, they end up feeling guilty because all they have are empty scrapbooks and baby books lying around. This is how we help. First, memories, photos and videos on your smartphone and on social media sites will automatically sync to your memory book. We'll identify who is in a photo and will automatically organize your photos in chronological order. We'll automatically select the best photo from a series of photos and remove photos that may not necessarily belong in a scrapbook.
So MemoryBook's target market is the 37.1 million families that have kids under the age of 18. And we assume that for each one of our registered users, they will be sharing their memories with at least, let's say, 1 grandparent, which doubles the number.
Any of you who are unfamiliar with the phrase molded pulp, an egg carton is the classic example of molded pulp. Our packaging, and some of it's at the judge's table now, is the modern day derivative of the lowly egg carton. We use no plastic whatsoever in our packaging. In fact, our mission is the total replacement of unnecessary plastic packaging. Okay, here's the culprit. The traditional blister pack. We all know it. It's not very consumer friendly. It's petroleum plastic based, and it ends up in a landfill forever. Our solution, patent pending, we call it the CartaPack. It's completely biodegradable. It's easy to open. It's tamper evident. It's never going to be in a landfill. You can drop this in your compost bin, recycling, wherever you want. It's not going to harm anything.
We enable patients to self-test in the comfort at home, and physicians in hospital to monitor this patient remotely. What we do differently than competition is that we provide specific blood data analysis paired with mobile-enabled technology, so that you can have patient in their home and doctors in hospital be able to monitor this patient. Our target customers is obviously hospital, set to lose over $750 million a year in penalty. Physicians, which now revenue are declined, and obviously patient. The rate of mortality for patient with congestive heart failure is less than 5 years. 2% of the American population will have congestive heart failure in their lifetime. So our technology is the first disposable blood test card. You can do in your home like a finger prick, measure level of proteins. With a smartphone application, you take a quick image and the information is uploaded, sent to your physician. It's a patent-protected technology. It was developed by our team at Carnegie Mellon University in Pittsburgh, Pennsylvania. And we have 3 patents filed, 2 already issued. We cover US, Japan, and Europe. So here is a typical user case. Very similar to what people would cause these days. A patient that comes to their home will self-test with a finger prick, measure the level of the proteins. The information can transfer to the physician. The physician will look at the protein trend, and only when the trend it goes off the baseline, everybody has a different baseline, so the physician, when the trend will go off, will be able to identify those patients that is a significant risk, therefore intervene proactively, provide the correct treatment, and avoid readmission and significantly avoid cost.
Hemodialysis is a process that is absolutely essential and life-saving for those people with end-stage kidney disease. In the United States, that equals about 650,000 people who every week, 3 times a week, for 3 hours each session, have to sit down next to this machine so that machine can serve as their artificial kidney. And that machine is going to clean their blood, going to detox their blood, going to perform the function of the kidney. Now, those of us with healthy kidneys, they work every day, every minute. So when you actually have somebody sit down and have to check in with their kidney, their artificial kidney, the machine, it's a problem because you have 3 hours, essentially, to take care of a process that usually happens all day long. And so it's a really unique and fascinating process that we figured out how to keep people alive with hemodialysis. The problem is, it's fairly complicated, right? You're going to run the blood from your body out a tube into the machine. The machine's going to filter it. You're going to send it back. That blood's going to do a round trip 15 different times. The volume of your blood's going to go around 15 times before you're done with the session. If you do surveys, a U.S. renal physician survey showed that 5% of patients reported having a needle drop out at least once in the last 30 days during their dialysis treatment. So that's pretty remarkable. And you can imagine that if your needle drops out during treatment, this is trouble, right? It can be discomfort. It can lead to illness or a hemorrhagic shock if it's not detected in time. And sadly, it happens that people can die when their needle slips out and it goes undetected. We said, why do you have to use a standard needle? Why not change the needle itself to help have it better performance and have it more safe? What you see here is a cross-section of our V needle. Our V needle is taped down to the skin like any other normal needle. And when blood flows, it flows right through the needle and into the patient. That's good, that's normal. What happens during dislodgement? During dislodgement, that needle's going to come off the skin. And what's exciting about the V needle is that we detect the lift off of the skin and we immediately shut down the flow through that needle. So what you'll see here is the blood will flow, but it will stop. So we now have an automatic detection system that can tell when the needle has lifted off the skin, and it can stop at the source the flow of blood. So you get no spillage, you get no damage, you get no long-term illness or sickness or death. So really we think this is a elegant, simple, effective solution.